Okay, welcome back everybody. This will be the homework review for part 6. Callie, no beast. All right, this will be the homework review for part 6 from the note packet. Deals with target 17. It is the last section of the note packet, and it basically deals with solving right triangles, but most importantly, it introduced the skill of using the inverse trig functions to find angle measures. Remember, inverse trig functions are the ones with the -1. So sine -1, cosine -1, tangent -1, and generally you will find them on your calculator by hitting the second button and then hitting your sine, cosine, or tangent. And it should say like sine on the button and up top, sine -1, right? Now, I think you already know that, but that's going to be the basis of what we're doing here. And so, without further ado, let's get to work. This is a homework review, remember, so it deals with the part 6 worksheet. We're going through number 2, part of it, number 3, and then 5A. So let's get going. In number 2, the only part I wanted to review real quick was finding an angle. And so if we have this triangle and we want to figure out angle Q, we find angles with sine, cosine, tangent, and using the -1 version. So anytime we have sine, cosine, tangent, we got to identify opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So 55 is opposite. Hypotenuse is across from the 90. Unimportant because we don't know anything. And then that means adjacent, our connected side, is going to be the 48. And so to find angle Q, we have to work with opposite and adjacent. Think of so, ka, toa. Opposite and adjacent is going to be the O and A in toa. So we need to use tangent. So angle Q will equal the tangent, and we don't know angle Q, so we'll just write a Q for now. And remember, these trig functions always equal fractions. So it's opposite divided by adjacent. So 55 divided by 48. And then we want Q, so we are going to do the opposite of the tangent, which means the opposite of the tangent is the tangent -1. And so we'll type that into our calculator. In the parentheses, we'll type 55 divided by 48. And what we get will be our answer. And not only is it Q, but it is measure of angle Q, exactly like that notation there. So let's type this into our calculator right now, and that is our answer. Tangent inverse of 55 divided by 48. So remember, you'll hit second, also be in degree mode. I'm going to hit inverse, tangent inverse of, what was it? 55 divided by 48. 55 divided by 48. Close parentheses, equal. So it's telling us that that is roughly a 48.8, but we'll round it up. So 48.9 degree angle. 48.9 degrees. And that is our answer. So let's keep moving on. All right. This is called a angle of elevation or depression problem. Elevation, right? And really it's the same kind of deal, but we're working with a real world triangle. So this is problem number 3. And so let's go. You begin hiking at a trailhead whose elevation is 9,400 feet. So that's this point right here. That's where you start. And your trail ends at the summit of some sort of mountain, and you are 14,000 feet high at that point. The horizontal distance, so horizontal is straight side to side, so that's this bottom side of our triangle, is 17,625 feet. We want to know the angle of elevation. So we're looking for an angle. So we're looking for that angle. And maybe instead of that arrow, maybe I just call this angle A. And again, we want this angle, and right now it's a question mark. So we're going to use sine, cosine, tangent, and we're going to use the inverse one to figure that out. The only problem is we know this bottom length. We don't know our hypotenuse side. There's nothing there. And we kind of know this side, but we don't really have a number for it. The reason is it started at 9,400 and ended at 14,255. And so we need to figure out what's the difference between those numbers. So we want to subtract them to start. I'm going to do the 14,000 minus the 9,000. And what that'll tell us is the change in elevation. And that'll be what this whole right side is. So when we subtract those numbers, we get 4,855. And so this right here is the right side of this triangle. And so now to figure out that angle, again, we got to use sine, cosine, tangent, which means we need to recognize opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So opposite of our angle is our new calculated right side of the triangle. Hypotenuse we already talked about. We don't need it because there's no information there. And then so our connected side, this bottom side, that's our adjacent side. And so to find this angle down here, angle A, we want to work with opposite and adjacent. That means TOA again. We're going to do tangent. So tangent of angle A is going to equal, and then its opposite, which is 4,855 divided by adjacent, which is 17,625. And so we will get our angle, which is A, if we do inverse tangent, so the tan -1 of that fraction. And I know those are big numbers, but that's okay. They just are the numbers they are. And so that's what we'll type into our calculator. I'll try my best to remember it. So tangent inverse of 4,855 divided by 17,625. Let's grab our calculator. We'll go to tangent inverse of 4,855 divided by 17,625, and we'll hit enter. I believe that was the right number, and that's telling us it is a 15.4 degree angle. 15.4 degree angle. And so there's our answer to the question. Angle of elevation from trailhead to summit, 15.4. All right, our last problem is solving one of these right triangles. Remember, they always give you 3 pieces of information. In this one, they've given us 2 sides and a 90-degree angle. We need to find 2 angles, R and S, and 1 side. So we need to find 3 pieces of information based off of the 3 they give us. So let's do this. They're asking for ST. Recognize ST means the side from S to T, so that's this side right here. Let's call that X. And in this example, since we know the 2 other sides, we can just use Pythagorean Theorem to find X. For Pythagorean Theorem, that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So find your 90 and go across from it. That's always c. And so we'll square x and 6. Add them together, they got to equal c squared. So x squared plus 6 squared equals 12.5 squared. So x squared plus 36 equals, and 12.5 squared equals 156.25. So let's subtract our 36 now, and we get x squared equals 120.25, and then we will square root both sides, and x is going to equal 10.97. Now remember, x is the side from S to T, so ST is 10.97. And now we got to find our 2 angles, angle S, angle R. To do that, it's going to require a little bit of trig, at least to start. And so let's clear this up, and let's say we want to find angle S, right? So for us to do this, we need to start identifying opposite, which is 6, hypotenuse, just across from the 90, that's the 12.5, which makes the blank side adjacent. Doesn't matter to us because we weren't given that information, so we won't use it, even though we did find it now, but we won't use it. We'll use the 6 and the 12.5. And so to find angle S, we need to work with opposite, which is 6, and hypotenuse, which is 12.5. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine, right? So, right? So SOH. So sine of S is going to equal opposite divided by hypotenuse. So 6 divided by 12.5. And since we want to find the angle, we will get it when we do the sine -1 of the fraction we made. So we'll type that into our calculator. Sine -1 of 6 divided by 12.5. Oops. So second, sine -1, 6 divided by 12.5. And that gives us 28 and we'll round up. So 28.7 degrees. 28.7 degrees. And that's perfect. And then for angle R, right, I'm going to add this to our picture now a little bit, clean this up. So I now know angle S is 28.7. I also know T is 90. And so to find R, I just subtract those 2 from 180. And so R will be what I get when I do, so R is what I get when I do 180 minus 90 minus 28.7. And when we type that into our calculator, we should get 61.3. And that is going to be what angle R is. 61.3. Perfect. So that concludes really the whole unit as far as videos go. Keep practicing. Keep sending me questions. If I can answer them through email and stuff, I'll do my absolute best. Thank you for your hard work. Keep it up. Let's move on to Unit 7 soon. All right, here we go.